Hey guys, welcome. Imagine standing on the top of the Galata Tower, looking over the Bosphorus, and you just jump. That's exactly what the Hazar fan Ahmed Chalabi did back in the 17th century. Today we are breaking down his legendary flight across the Bosphorus. Istanbul in the 17th century was a magnificent city, stretching across both sides of the Bosphorus. In the middle of this city stood a stone tower above the district of Galata, a tower we know today as the Galata Tower. According to Evliya Çelebi, during the reign of Sultan Murad IV, a man decided to fly from the top of this very tower. The man's name was Ahmed Chalabi, a man who would later become known as Hazarfen. The title Hazarfen referred to a man who was skilled in many different sciences and arts. But Ahmed Chalabi did not simply wanted to tell people a strange story. He wanted to actually test where human flight was possible. But reaching such a moment was not easy. According to Evliya Çelebi, Ahmed Chalabi had tested his flying device many times before his great flight. He carried out these experiments in an area known as Ok Evliya Çelebi said that Ahmed practiced with a device resembling the wings of an eagle in strong winds. The account even gives the number on these experiments 8 or 9 times. He wanted to understand how the power of the wind could be used to stay in the air. This is important because from a scientific point of view, his flight would have been more like gliding than flipping like a bird. In other words, if the flight really happened, Ahmed Chalabi probably used a primitive device similar to a glider. And finally, the day came when Ahmed Chalabi was about to attempt the greatest experiment of his life. He made his way to the top of the Galata Tower. The Galata Tower stood high above the district, offering a wide view of the city and the Bosphorus. At that height, Ahmed prepared his flying device. Below him lay the city of Istanbul. Before him stretched the waters of the Bosphorus, with Oksudar on the other side of the strait. That was his destination, Oksudar. But courage alone was not enough for such a flight. Ahmed Chalabi needed an important force of nature, the wind. According to Evliya Çelebi, the Ludus, a southwesterly wind was blowing that day. This wind was supposed to help Ahmed travel his long route over the Bosphorus. The moment he had prepared for was finally here. Ahmed Chalabi stood at the edge of the tower. The wind struck his enormous wings. The city below him seemed small. In front of him there was only a sky and water. And then, according to the account, Ahmed Chalabi threw himself into the wind. For a moment he was no longer on the tower. He was in the air, and Istanbul was witnessing the story of a man who wanted to conquer the sky with his hand-made wings. But even if we cannot prove very the table of this story with independent evidence, The name of Hezarfen Ahmed Chalabi remains connected with one of the boldest stories of flight in the history of Istanbul.
So that's the legendary flight of Hezarfen Ahmed Chalabi. If you enjoyed this aerospace deep dive, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you.